Hey everyone, it's Ish here with Growing in OKC, and today I've got another episode for you about keeping up your raised beds and how to include nutrients into those raised beds. The reason why nutrients are so important is because everything that's in the soil is what are the building blocks for the plants that you grow and the food that you then consume. And, you know, not to get all Proverbs on you, but in the same way that if you build your house on the sand, it's not going to last very long. If you only use sand in your garden beds, then they too are not going to last long, and they're not going to be a stable ground on which you should build. So with that said, today I'm going to be showing you my raised bed and what I'm using to keep the minerals up. So first, what I've done in the raised bed here behind me is I've been adding in various nutrients. For those of you who remember my video on moving, I bagged up my entire garden, one like 20-gallon bag at a time, and I shipped it to my new house. I drove it over here, and so I'm moving all that already composted material into this bed. Now, for the big debut, I've also bought a bag of azomite. This is the granulated trace minerals. It's advocated by a lot of different growers. It's OMRI certified, and it provides trace minerals back into your soil so that you can have more of those trace minerals as you're eating. And some of the things that it's really good about providing are potash, which is necessary for fruit-bearing foods. It provides calcium and magnesium. Last year I personally had a lot of problems with blossom end rot. One of the things that causes that on tomatoes is a lack of calcium. So I'm hoping that this year, using the azomite, will help me put those trace minerals back into the soil so that I don't have blossom end rot on my tomatoes. Last, I know a lot of you are always asking John, I must have seen like 10 of his Q&As where people have asked, where do I get azomite from? Here's the answer. You can either buy it online and have it shipped to your house. The shipping is very expensive. If you live in the Kansas City, Missouri area, that's actually where azomite is made. And also, if you live in the Oklahoma area, there's a very nice person here who sells it up in Woodward, Oklahoma. That's almost in the Panhandle. So if you live in the Panhandle of Texas or southeast Colorado, then it's probably pretty close to you as well. And she sells bags of azomite for about $44, I think, is what I paid for this one bag. And there was no shipping charge. She actually brought it 3 hours all the way to Oklahoma City for me for free. She's a very nice lady, and I will keep her information below in the comment section for those of you who wish to look her up. So I'm gonna add this azomite. Okay. So when you're applying your azomite to your raised beds or your field crops or whatever, even in your potted plants, the back of the bag has specific instructions for how much you're supposed to put in. This is the granulated kind of azomite. It's not the same rock dust that John uses. It's a little more like, I don't know, pebbles, granules. But it says for every 10 square feet of raised bed area, I'm going to put in 1 pound of this rock dust, or this azomite, into the raised bed. So I'm just going to go ahead and real quickly just kind of guesstimate about how much a pound is. And I'm not too worried about it because the bottom of this raised bed is covered, so it's not going to seep out too much. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Growing in OKC and how to build up the nutrients in your soil. Remember, if you don't want to spend money on azomite to add in trace minerals, there are a lot of things that you can do just at your house with composting leaves, composting straw, composting like horse manure that you can go get off-site, or if you have horses yourself, that's cool too. But you don't have to purchase things with trace minerals just to have good soil. There are lots of things last year that I did that really built up my soil and I think added a lot to my nutrients. So I'm trying Azomite because it's been highly recommended by a lot of different people, and I think for the cost that it will add a lot of vegetable or a lot of nutrients into my vegetables for my wife and I. And tune in tomorrow or the next day when I build a raised herb bed as promised in one of my previous videos. Good luck growing in OKC or wherever you're at in the country.